everyone, I'm Rhonda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are brand new. Today we are going to use my TBR jar to help me pick all the books I plan to read in the month of April. Alright, it's that time of month. It's time for me to pick out the books I want to read in April. We are going to pick my April TBR, and you guys know how this video works. I am going to pick out 6 prompts from this prompt jar, and I am going to pick a book based off that prompt, and then as a bonus I am going to randomly select one book out of this jar of titles. Okay, so we're going into April, if you can believe it, and April is going to be a busy month when it comes to new releases. A lot of my most anticipated books for the year are coming out in April. We have Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. That comes out on April 1st. The Maid's Secret, which is the 3rd book in the Molly the Maid series, comes out on April 8th. Wild and Wrangled, which is the 3rd book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, that one's by Lila Sage. It comes out April 15th. And Great Big Beautiful Life by Miss Emily Henry comes out on April 22nd. Right off the bat, I do plan to read Say You'll Remember Me and Great Big Beautiful Life the day it comes out in April. However, with The Maid's Secret, I have not read the 2nd book yet. We are still in March and I have it on my TBR to try and get to this month. So if I don't get to it, I might have to push it to another month and pick this one up later. And then also, I think this book is coming out on hardback, and I kind of want to wait to purchase it until it comes out on paperback. So I don't think I'm gonna buy this one. I think I might wait for it to either come out on paperback much later, or if I do want to read it, I'll just get it from my library. And then with Wild and Wrangled, this is the 3rd book in a small town cowboy romance. I have enjoyed this series. I enjoyed the first one, Done and Dusted. Can't remember the title of the 2nd book. I like that one the least. But then the 3rd book, Lost and Lassoed, I love that one. But with this one, I'm not excited about it. I don't know if it's going to be one that I'm going to immediately read in April, so I may just, if I get it, read it later this summer or something. But for sure, I'm going to read Say You'll Remember Me and Great Big Beautiful Life. So those are 2 books that are already on my April TBR. Let's go ahead and pick my very first prompt for April. Oh, real quick, I've also refreshed some of these books on my TBR cart. I do have some of the same from previous months. A lot of them are new releases, my book of the month picks. But I also wanted to add some books that were more springish. Maybe they're set in the springtime, or the covers have flowers and just give me spring feels. So some of these may just look a little springish. But let's go ahead and get going. The very first prompt for April is going to be, oh, okay, here it is. Written by multiple authors. So obviously I need to try and find a book that is written by more than one author. Oh, okay. I have one so far. Emma of 83rd Street is written by Audrey Belisa and Emily Harding. And I think that might be the only one I have. Let me turn this around. Yeah. Okay, so this is the only book that I have that's written by 2 authors, and it is Emma of 83rd Street by Audrey Belisa and Emily Harding. And look at the cover. It is perfect for April. It's perfect for the springtime, just with the soft pink pastel colors and then the ivy flowers growing up the building. But I think this one is about, okay, yeah, so it is a Jane Austen's retelling, and it's supposed to be a friends to lovers trope. So this is perfect. My very first book for April is Emma of 83rd Street. Prompt number 2 for April is, oh, I got more than one. Okay. I didn't see it, I promise. Okay, it says debut novel. So I need to find the very first book written by the author. And I really don't even know. I know these are not debuts. Okay, so on the little author's note, this says this is her first novel. So this is an option. Oh, nope. This is going to be a little hard. Well, guys, oops, that almost fell. All right, guys, I think, let's see. one. Nope. Okay, so with this prompt, I only had one book too, and that is Definitely Better Now. This was my book of the month pick for December, and I haven't gotten around reading it. But this one is contemporary fiction or women's fiction, and it is about a woman who's in her 20s, and she is a recovering alcoholic. And I just think this is going to be, this is a touching and deeply funny debut about starting over sober, only discover life's biggest messes are still waiting right where you left them. So this is book number 2 for April, Definitely Better Now by Ava Robinson. All right, let's pick prompt number 3. And that's going to be this one. Oops, I keep pulling some out and dropping it. Okay, prompt number 3 is title has the same word twice. Okay, well that's gonna fit in with a lot of fantasy, to be honest with you. No. So again, I just have one book that fit this prompt, and I can't believe that because I figured I would repeat at least the word the in more books, especially some of these fantasies. But so yeah, I have The Corpse in the Closet by Lucy Score. It repeats the word the. And this is the second book in the Riley Thorne series. I read the first one, I think sometime last year, and I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. So we're gonna pick up where that book left off, and we're going to follow Riley Thorne, who is a reluctant clairvoyant. And I really loved the first book because I thought Riley Thorne was kind of a quirky character, and the people she surrounded herself with were very quirky characters too. And this is just gonna be a silly good time. It is a romance, you know, rom-com-y, but it's also a little bit of a mystery. It's not a cozy mystery, it's just a silly good time. And I'm excited to pick up the second book in the series and read it in April. So the third book in April is The Corpse in the Closet by Lucy Score. All right, 3 down, 3 more, well technically 4 more to go. Prompt number 4 is ends with an odd number of pages. Okay, so I know that I really want to read these 2. I'm just going to pick out some books that I really want to read this spring. Okay, so let's see. Whoops. And then this one back here. I'm going to check these. Okay, let's see. And how do I do this? Do I include the acknowledgements in the back or just the story? I think it's going to depend on how much I really want to read the book. Okay, well this one has an even number of pages, so that's not one. It has an even number of pages. Odd. That's an option. Odd. It's always so tricky looking in the back of these books because I don't want to ruin the entire story for myself. Odd. Okay, so I have 3 books that have an odd number of pages. First, I have a YA fantasy romance called Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. This is a YA fantasy romance. It says they loved each other in 1,000 lifetimes. They've killed each other in every one. And this was my book of the month pick for March, and the reason why I picked it was because it said The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue meets This Is How You Lose the Time War in this fantastical and epic love story that defies death as 2 souls reincarnate through the centuries. This sounds right up my alley. I loved Addie LaRue. I've never read This Is How You Lose a Time War. Let me know if you've read that one, but this is a really good option. And then I have another YA fantasy romance, and this cover is just gorgeous with the pink flowers, and then the end pages have these pretty pink flowers on both sides. And this is another YA fantasy romance, and this reminds me of historical romances. I'm not sure if it's set in the Regency times, but there's balls. I loved historical romances. I haven't read any in a couple of years, but this is another YA fantasy romance and another good option to read in April, which is part of spring. And then I have the Finders Keeper Library, or the Finders Keepers Library by Annie Raines. All I know about this one, it is a small town second chance romance. It's a clean romance, and I think it's set in North Carolina. Yeah, Bloom, North Carolina, which I suspect is a fictional town and it's set in the summertime. So yeah, it's set in the fictional town of Bloom, North Carolina, and it's set in the summertime, and our main character is staying with her Aunt Eleanor, who is a retired librarian, and she has apparently one of these little library, you know, I'm talking about the little libraries in front of her house and her garden, and it gets destroyed by a storm, and it looks like the town comes together to repair it or something. So it just sounds like a sweet little Hallmark romance. I think I'm gonna save this one for later. I do wanna read that in the springtime. So it's between The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith and Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. And I think I'm going to make the decision and go with Our Infinite Fates. I really want to read this. It sold me when it likened it to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. That was a beautiful book and a beautiful story. So my fourth book for April is Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. Moving on to prompt number 5 is, I picked 2 again. I'm trying not to look. I'm gonna pick that one. Okay. Okay. Book published before 2015. Ooh, so these are all new releases. I think this one was, let's see. No. Okay, now this is going to take me a few minutes to go through. Let me go through these books and I'll pull out, if any, that were published before 2015. Oh wait, okay, this one, this was printed in 2015. Dang it. I don't know if I'm gonna have any books printed before 2015. Oh wait, here we go. First published in 2012. We have an option. Let me keep looking. This is harder than I thought it was going to be. 2022, and these last books I know are newer releases. Okay, so yet again we have one book that fits this prompt of published before 2015, and I'm not mad about it because I really need to start this series. And we're gonna go with Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. And if you watch some of my previous TBR videos, then you know that I had Assassin's Blade on my TBR for February, but I never got to. I actually did read the first 2 chapters, but I had a hard time getting into it. And then the other day I was watching a YouTube video, and she was saying a friend of hers told her not to start with Assassin's Blade because it gives something away that you learn about in these books. So even though some of my friends who are near and dear said for me to read Assassin's Blade first, but because I had a hard time getting into that book and the fact that I just heard that something is given away in that book, I think I'm going to start with Throne of Glass. So the 5th book for April is going to be Throne of Glass. I'm going to start this series and I'm going to love it. I know it. Okay, the last prompt from my TBR jar is finish a soft DNF. Okay, so I have the perfect book, but it's not on my TBR card. I actually do not have any soft DNFs on this card. So I'm going to break a little rule and I'm going to pick out a book from the rest of my physical TBR books. And I'm gonna go with Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I did a soft DNF on this, not because I wasn't enjoying it, but because I was also reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue at the same time. So I put this aside to work on that book because I was really, truly enjoying the writing in that book, and I really wanted to immerse myself in that story, and I couldn't do that if I was reading another book at the same time. So we're going to continue Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I think this is a lit fic, and from what I remember, this is about 2 friends. They meet when they're kids, and it really spans their childhood into adulthood, and it's about them creating this video game. I don't remember, but I was really enjoying it. I was enjoying their story, and I really didn't get that far into it. But book number 6 for the month of April is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And my daughter is going to be so excited that I'm going to be reading this and finishing it, because she asks me pretty often if I finish this book, because this is the book that she got me for either my birthday or Mother's Day. So I'm excited to start this and finish it so I can tell her that I read it. So tomorrow for April. All right, now book number 7 is my bonus book. I always pick one random book from my book of titles. So I'm just gonna pick one random book out of here. And I usually keep this one pretty up to date with all the book titles I own, but I just did a book haul video and I don't think I included any of those books in here. But that's okay, I will add them later. Okay, book number 7 is, please be a good one. Angelica Frankenstein makes her match, or meets, is it makes her match or meets her match? That one is over here. Yeah, makes her match. I really don't want to read this, but I have to. Okay, I was saving this for, actually I was supposed to read this past spooky season and I never got to it, and I was saving it for this coming spooky season, but because I drew it, I need to read it. But this one is by Sally Thorne. I think this is just a modern take on Frankenstein. I don't know. It says it imagines Victor Frankenstein's sheltered younger sister, Angelica, in her attempts to create the perfect man. All right. I'm not excited about this, but we're gonna give it a go. The last book for April, book number 7, is Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match by Sally Thorne. All right, with all 7 books picked, let's do one quick run through of all the books I picked, starting with Emma of 83rd Street by Audrey Belisa and Emily Harding. Definitely Better Now by Ava Robinson. The Corpse in the Closet by Lucy Score. Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match by Sally Thorne. All right, so these are all the books that I picked, and just like in previous TBR videos, I usually have a good assortment of different genres. This is the main reason why I like to use a prompt jar to pick my TBR, and if you don't do that method, I highly recommend it. You get quite an assortment of genres. It's very wide ranging. I have a lit fic, I have a YA fantasy romance, I have a, I don't know if Definitely Better Now is a lit fic, or if it's just general fiction. I have an adult fantasy, a little romance, a silly rom-com, maybe cozy mystery-ish. Mystery-ish, is that even a word? No, it's not. And then I have just a seasonal romance. So I have quite a few different genres in this little stack of books, and I will definitely say some of these, I think this is the first time that I'm not excited about every book. I really don't want to read Angelica Frankenstein, but I'm gonna do my best. But these are all the books that I'm reading in April. If you've read any of these, please let me know in the comments what you thought about them. And also let me know what your TBR is for April. This stack of books is getting very heavy. I need to set them down. And if you would rather not leave comments, please leave me a little rabbit or a bunny emoji so that I know that you watched until the very end. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.